You are a multiplier, and multipliers do not live in scarcity at all. Wherever is planted in you, you increase. Okay? So if you live in scarcity, you multiply scarcity. If you live in nourishment, you multiply nourishment. This is not motivational. This is by design. This is something that we all need to remember. The good thing about women is that we are multipliers. Everywhere we go, we multiply. We multiply atmospheres, we multiply emotions, we multiply vision, conflict, peace, stability. So you got to be careful of what you got going on because you don't want to multiply anything negative. So when you walk in the room, because like when you walk in the room drained, the whole room becomes drained because you're multiplying your draininess, if that makes sense. So, but if you walk into the room grounded, everything becomes stabilized. So we're multipliers. So whatever you have, you multiply. If you have kindness, you multiply kindness. If you have anxiety, you multiply anxiety. Do you know that we set the tone for our households? So whatever tone we have, that's the tone kids will start to grasp to. That's the kind of vibe that we'll be parenting from. And it'll take over our entire household, whether good or bad. So we have to be careful what it is we're multiplying. So if you have healthy soil multiplies harvest, because we know, over here we like a good old gardening metaphor. So healthy soil multiplies harvest, but depleted soil multiplies struggle. Is your soil depleted? Are you having struggle after struggle after struggle? Because that's what you're multiplying? Well, you might say, this is happening, this is happening, this is all out of my control. But the thing is that scarcity is a mindset before it's a circumstance. So scarcity sounds like there's not enough time, there's not enough help, there's not enough money, there's not enough energy. I'll rest when ... So that's what scarcity sounds like. Did you know that scarcity thinking will have you operating in lack, start hoarding things like your time, your energy, your joy, or you start overgiving because you'll think it'll run out? Either way, you're reacting out of fear. It is a fear reaction. And if you've ever witnessed anybody that may have, maybe they were malnourished, they didn't have the food, they'll start hoarding food whenever food becomes available. Have you ever noticed someone that maybe grew up in a poor household or poor state of mind? They'll start hoarding money. They don't want to invest. They don't want to start businesses. They don't want to start high yield savings accounts. They don't want to get property. They just start hoarding their money. Literally, some people will put it in a shoebox under the mattress, like hoarding, because they live from a place of lack and a mindset that I don't ever want to live in this again. So if I don't want to live in it again, I gotta hoard all of these things. And that's what our scarcity mindset looks like. We start hoarding all of these things. We don't want to let it go, right? Or we start over giving. Like, I gotta give now. I gotta do this now because I might not have enough later. Who told you you wasn't gonna have enough later? Let's look at it from the motherhood POV. So there is something called the scarcity loop in motherhood. So it looks like practically like you feel behind, you push harder. You neglect yourself, you get depleted, you become reactive, you feel guilty, you push harder again. And the loop just keeps going over and over again. Then you feel behind, so you push harder. Then you neglect yourself, then you feel depleted, and then you become reactive, and then you feel guilty, and you push. Like, it just never stops. It's a hamster on a wheel, and it never stops. And the crazy thing is that starts becoming our norm. When you lived in that motherhood loop long enough, that scarcity loop long enough, it's like, this is just how I do life. It's like you don't know anything else. This becomes your normal, and this is not normal. This is not how we were designed. And I don't want that for you. There's more out there. You can get out of that loop. We can get out of that loop. We don't have to keep thinking in a scarcity mindset. That's not where we are. Because we have to understand that abundance is stewardship. It's not luxury. It's not anything for the 1%. Abundance does not mean luxury vacation and luxury spa days and a perfect schedule. Abundant means emotional margins, saying no without panic, rest without guilt. Oh, resting without guilt. No, I can't rest because there's so many things to do. I have to do this. The kids need that. They got to go here. Say no. Say no and be calm about it. Say no and breathe. Say no. Do you know that no is a complete sentence? You don't have to over explain. You don't have to explain at all. Are y'all coming to such and such's birthday party? No, we won't be there. I don't have to give you an excuse. I don't have to start over explaining. I don't have to start feeling guilty about things like that. No. Abundance means investing in your growth. Taking the classes, taking the time, getting the therapy. Invest in your growth. So expect more than survival. When we're in abundance, we start expecting more than survival mode. And multipliers plan for replenishment. And we've been talking about this for like the last 3 or 4 videos. Good old garden metaphor. When you live in abundance, we don't use up all the seed. We store some, then we plant strategically. They re-rotate the crops. Because how are you going to give your last harvest and don't keep the seeds to rotate the crops? Abundance, my friend, abundance, lovies, is so intentional. We got to think about that thing. We got to say, hey, you need to rest. Or sometimes we have to plan it. And I tell people, if it's not on my schedule, it's not happening. I'm not a spontaneous person. And people like, how in the world can you plan time with your friends? They're your friends. They're not your... Listen, anything on my schedule is important. Okay? So my friends, my family, my loved ones, they're on my schedule because they're important, because I take intentional time out to redeem quality time with them. So yes, I will put a girl's lunch on the schedule real quick and in a hurry. Not a problem. And won't feel guilty about it because I'm giving my best self when I do that. I'm not giving the leftovers of me. But here's the thing. You cannot multiply what you don't have. 0 times 0 will always be 0. 1 times 0 will always be 1. You're not multiplying if you don't have it. If you don't have peace, you can't multiply peace. If you don't have patience, you can't multiply patience. If you don't have clarity, you can't multiply clarity. So then the question becomes, what am I cultivating? What am I cultivating inside of myself? What am I growing inside of myself? What am I multiplying inside of myself? Because this is what is growing. This is what is multiplying. Whatever you're cultivating, whatever you're feeding, whatever you're watering, these are the things that are multiplying. And it can be so many different things. But we want to multiply the goodness, the things that will not only help our garden, but help the gardens around us. So our takeaway, our homework, our thought, our question that we're going to ask ourselves, where in my life am I lacking? Where in my life am I operating in lack? And what would it look like to steward that area a little differently? What would it look like to stop watering chaos and start fertilizing peace? What would it look like if I stopped normalizing chaos and normalize order and structure and organization? And I'm not saying that organization and structure has to be rigid and by the book. It's just, sweetie, we have a wake up time, we have a sleep time. We have blocks of time that we do this and blocks of time that we do that. We don't have to schedule every hour. Or maybe you do. Whatever works best for your household, but something has to be done. You have to realize, what am I multiplying? Where am I operating in lack? And what can I do differently so I don't have to do that anymore? So let me know in the comments if you feel free to share. Feel free to share. This is a safe place. Let me know in the comments what you think about that, what your answer to that question is. Or you can always seek me out on other social media platforms in my DMs. I love to hear it. I love to hear from y'all. So if you're new here, hey, it's me, El Marie, and I'm just cultivating the garden that God has given me, taking you along that journey with me, and hopefully walking that journey with you as well. I hope you learned something from today, and always remember, in a world full of chaos, always focus on the good. Until next time, toodles!